Welcome to Childcare Conversations with Kate and Carrie.
Welcome back, and we are so excited to start the new year with new guests and lots of fun. And so today we're going to talk about, again, some more secrets, but kind of a different kind of secret. Carrie, what kind of secrets are we talking about today?
Secret shopping and finding out the secrets of what your customers are seeing when they come to your program and when they go to your competitors' programs. Because some people want to just secret shop their competitors, and I don't think Chelsea's going to say that that is enough. So welcome our guest, a good friend of ours, Chelsea. And I never know how to say your last name. Is it just Reue?
It's Reue, like kangaroo.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I was like, she has too many vowels. So Chelsea Reue, who we've known for, I don't know, 3-4 years, something like that. She trains at conferences. We train at conferences. She works with one of our really best friends in early child care. And so Chelsea.
Wait. You forgot the most important part. Chelsea, how many programs did you own and have you been a director of? Because that's important.
Okay.
Oh, so I owned 2. I sold 1, and I was briefly the director. My primary role throughout the past almost 11 years, though, is actual offsite owner. So supporting my directors. I only wore the director hat as an interim position, not as a primary position. So
Well,
that's my background.
but that is really, really important, I think, for our listeners to understand that you've been in their shoes, both the owner's shoes as well as the director's shoes. So, okay. So now, Chelsea, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I do a whole bunch of stuff. So like I said, I still own one of my schools and have had that for over a decade now. I am with Preschool Exchange, so I am a childcare sales specialist. That means I help people buy and sell their schools. And somewhere in that mix, I do training and secret shopping. And the secret shopping really came about because owners wanted to find out why they couldn't enroll in their programs. And for me, I can't help you sell a failing program. So profitability is really paramount. And one of the primary ways you do that is enrollment. And one of the biggest problems people face with enrollment is not enough. And the easiest way to fix that is through your tours. And so that's why I focus on tour training and secret shopping as one of the ways to support owners and directors.
Okay, so I hear this phrase, and Carrie mentioned it too, but help me understand if I've never heard that term or secret shopper, or I'm not really sure how that applies in childcare. Tell me a little bit more about what is a secret shopper in childcare.
Gotcha. So yeah, what I do is the owners hire me and I go to programs all across the United States and I show up and I tour the programs as a prospective parent. So I go in, I shop the owner schools and typically competitors. And I go in and I hear what they're telling parents, what are they seeing, what are they smelling, what are they hearing, and what's going on in those programs. And I come back and I help owners and directors fix the problems. Because a lot of times we try to fix these really big problems that like cost a lot of money and they take a lot of time to fix, when really it's just we're saying the wrong things or we're doing the wrong things. And it's actually a much easier fix than people think. And I like easy. So I found it was really easy to help people fix their tours. And I've secret shopped over 200 schools. So I've heard a lot of tours and I've seen what works. I've seen what hasn't in my own schools and other people's schools. You know, as a mom, what am I looking for? What are my friends looking for? Right. And so I take all of that knowledge and I really help people understand what the tour process needs to look like and where there's a breakdown in the tour.
Okay, so when you're doing that secret shopping, does that include the calling or texting to set up the tour time?
Yeah, so a lot of times, well, and it depends, right? Because some programs might if you look at your conversion rates, right? So I'm a data cruncher. If you find your conversion rates are really good with certain people and not other people, right? You might want to do a walk-in because I need to catch this person because she's really struggling, as opposed to, some owners want them scheduled. So it really depends on what the owner is looking for and what their desired outcome is. Some of them just want to be like, okay, tell me what's wrong. And some have a suspicion of a problem. And so I do things to make sure I see that problem in action.
Okay, great. Well, that sounds really interesting. So if I was just a director, would I know that you're coming in as a secret shopper, or is this like it really is a secret?
Oh yeah, no, they have no idea who I am. Some of them find out after, some don't. So sometimes
do you use a secret name?
Depends. So there's been some organizations I've used a secret name because they share like an IntelliKids. And so I can't pop up as me lots of times. If I was in Texas, I probably wouldn't use my real name because I'm a speaker at conferences and things like, so my name might trigger so no, it depends. If I'm just doing an out of state and I don't need to, I typically use my real name. People aren't as observant as you would think.
Nobody's Googling you. They're not Googling you before you show up.
No, they're just hoping I go away as soon as possible so they can get back to doing whatever they were doing before the tour showed up because they're busy.
Amazing.
So what is the craziest thing you've seen in one of the secret shops? And we're going to say first, we'll save what's the craziest thing you've seen at the Target school. Let's start with the competitors, because hopefully you saw weirder things at the competitors than at the Target schools.
Okay.
Maybe not. I don't know. They can't necessarily see that face. That was good.
I had one, and most of the time I don't focus on the building because you know what your building looks like. Like that's not something you need to hire me to come look at, right? But there was this one school I toured and they took me out back to the playground and they were very proud of their infant playground. And it was like a little, like almost cage with some grass and like very small, like crib size, maybe a little bigger. And it was just very awkward. And I was like, and she was so proud. And I'm looking at it like, you got licensed? This is licensed? Are you kidding? Oh no, that's so bad. So bad. My other favorite story is they kept talking about the poo room. And I kept like, they're like, oh, your child would be in the poo room. And I'm like, what?
Like a Winnie the Pooh?
I didn't catch that because I'm a millennial. So
you're thinking little brown,
I'm thinking poop emoji, not Winnie the. And so and I had a 2-year-old. So I'm like, oh my gosh, did they like take potty training to a warped level and start referring to it as the poo room? And she just kept saying poo room. And then there was a poo hill on the playground. And I'm like, oh, please don't tell me this is where the kids go to, you know what? Like, I can't. And I'm thinking, who wants their kid in the poo room? And then it gets better. So this was a weird town, y'all. So then I go to the other place in town and she keeps talking. She's like, oh yeah, they'll be in the alfalfa room. I'm like, okay, y'all country out here. All right, whatever. And then she's like, oh, but then, the froggy room. And I'm like, now we're going animals. Okay, weird jump. And then she said the porky room. And I was like, all right, again, it's getting weird. And then she said the spanky room and I died. I'm like, you can't have a spanky room. That's not a thing. You cannot have a spanky room. And then I'm scratching my head going like, what is with these names? And then I realize it's the Little Rascals. Again, millennial, wasn't a show I watched.
It wasn't a show I watched. I'm Gen X. Like that's boomer stuff right there. That is.
I watched it. I'm not
in reruns. You may have watched it in reruns, but that was entirely a
this
boomer.
Was in 2022, and it was a new building. Okay.
So was the name of the business like Little Rascals?
Little Rascals.
Okay, so they thought that they were okay. So that's a great. Okay, I'm just can do I have permission to squirrel?
Yeah, well, obviously you're gonna.
I'm gonna anyway.
Yeah, no,
Great example of, because one of the things we talk about is your name and is your business, indicative of what your kind of program is. But what great examples of how does it resonate with your clients? Because, if you're going in as a millennial or somebody with a 2-year-old who's never ever seen the show, The Little Rascals, like you said, every one of those names has a whole different connotation to you than it would for somebody who saw that show. Now, granted, I was a little kid, and even then it was black and white, right? So, like, it's not like I've seen those shows probably over 40 years, right? So, I think it's a really interesting. Hopefully, those listening to the show can take a pause and go, okay, what do our names say, right? If it's really Winnie the Pooh, first of all, you got copyright issues with that one. So, that's a whole other animal. And then, like, if you're going with, again, characters from a show, what do you tell me? Because, some of those kids were a little ornery. So I don't know if I'd want to be in any of those.
I was thinking, who wants their child in the Porky and Spanky room?
Well, it's funny because you said Porky, and of course, I'm an 80s kid, so I had a whole other connotation pop in my head. So we just,
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say, Kate, you're wrong about the copyright issue, because the first Winnie the Pooh book is in public domain. So you can use Winnie the Pooh. That's completely legal, just like you can use Steamboat Willie. So you can have a Steamboat Willie room and a Winnie the Pooh room and a Peter Rabbit room if you wanted to have. I would like children's stories that are in the public domain to be what my different classes are. But again, your program better be teaching the classics. Your program must be all about things that are immutable. If I walk in and I find those little Duplo blocks that have beads inside them, I'm like, how does this match classic children's stories and things that were made in 2024 for the very first time? They better not be feeding the kids Pocky sticks. You've got to be consistent throughout. Okay, what are some of the best, like, other than you named things a dumb thing, what are some of the other, like, this one thing probably made that center $100,000 because you changed this thing?
So I'll start. I have a few more horror stories, and I think
Okay,
they come with lessons. So let's do a few of these. So I'm touring a school, and they keep telling me they're so organic with their food, and she's going on and on about the food. And like there's a poster on the wall, and she's pointing to it, and we're in the lunchroom at lunchtime. Okay, let's set the stage. And she keeps talking about we don't use any canned or frozen. It's always fresh fruits and vegetables. Okie dokie. So I look down at the plates, and what do I see but carrots and mandarin oranges? Now, anyone that has worked in a childcare center before and has seen lunch knows canned carrots have a particular look about them, and so do mandarin oranges. I've never peeled a mandarin orange that was so perfect and juicy all at the same time. And so I'm looking down at her, and I'm looking at the plate, I'm looking at her, looking at the plate, looking at her, and she missed it. And I went, oh my gosh, this woman just lied to me about something that I can easily see and disprove with my eyes. And so the first thing I would say is don't lie to your customers. If you don't serve fresh fruits and vegetables, don't make that one of your selling points. Just don't talk about it. Some demographics don't care about the menu. Some do. Know your market. And so the other thing is, if you're willing to lie to them about what you're going to feed their kids, they're going to question you on all the big things. Oh, where'd this bite come from? Because they're not going to ever really trust you. The other thing I see a lot of times is people have shoeless infant rooms, right? That's become a big thing in the past couple of years. And they'll say, oh, no, you can just step right in here. Well, you didn't make me take my shoes off, but you just got done telling me this was a shoeless infant room. So now I'm walking on the sacred floors that you just told me the babies crawl all around that we don't wear shoes in. And so again, you just lied to me. You said you're shoeless, but you're really not. And so the one thing I would say, and I don't think anyone did this intentionally, right? Like, I don't think anyone was like, I'm gonna lie to this lady today. No, it's just, you're really not doing what you say you're doing.
Integrity.
Yes, and I think that's so easy if you're just saying what you think they want to hear instead of really representing the program you have. And maybe eventually you want to have all fresh fruits and vegetables, but that's not what your, food program menu can afford right now. Then say, you know what, we provide the healthiest choices we can. You can say that, but don't say it's all fresh and never frozen or canned if it's not. And you know what? Let's say the Cisco truck didn't give your fresh fruits and vegetables to you that week because something happened. Then you better point that out and say, you know what? I know we always strive to have fresh fruits and vegetables. This week, the Cisco truck, the produce spoiled and they had to give us canned. So we're doing the best we can. Great. You just gave me an awesome reason why you didn't follow what you said you're going to. People are reasonable, but you can't lie to them and then expect them to just be like, okie dokie. And so I've
Okay.
never.
So I have a question. How many
Yeah.
times have you wanted or have you called them out? I would have had a really hard time not calling those people out.
So I don't. And sometimes people are like, "Ooh, do you ask tricky questions?" I am actually, so I'm generally somewhat confrontational in real life. I know, never, right? And but as a secret shopper, I'm actually a sponge and I just absorb what you tell me. I actually ask very few questions because I want to know, what are you going to naturally tell me? So I'm not coming in with, well, my kid has a food out. I'm not trying to trick anyone. I'm actually just trying to hear, what are they going to say given, someone gives them the reins on the tour. What are they going to say? And yeah, so I don't call people out. Sometimes I'll kind of give a okay. And or I'll do some like,
Giving them a little side eye.
but like I don't get confrontational because I don't want to shut the tour down. Right. I don't want them to stop giving me what they're gonna offer me, because then I can't help them grow. Because my whole reason for being there, especially if it's the company I'm working for, right, is to help them grow. It's not to call them out and make them feel negative about what they did, because y'all know, no one grows in that way. So that's, yeah, I just kind of go, oh, okay, and keep going and see what else, because I might miss the thing they do really well if I shut them down early.
Okay,
That's
so
true.
how would somebody decide that this is an option or this might be the piece that's missing to their enrollment? Like, what might be some red flags that if this is the kind of things that are happening, you should probably consider having a secret shopper?
If you're not converting at least half of your tours that come in, you've got a problem. Now it might not be a tour problem. You might have a matching, what your market's really wanting to what you're offering problem. You might have a pricing problem. Or you could have a tour problem, right? It's generally one of those three. Now what I do when I secret shop is I will do that competitive analysis, like, okay, where are your competitors at? What are they offering? And I also ask, what do you think makes you special? And sometimes I've found they're still stuck on what made them special 5 years ago, but their competitors are all now doing that. And so they haven't done anything else to differentiate themselves. And so they think in their head that they're like super unique and they're the only one doing this, when in reality, all their competitors have caught on and it's time to bring something else to the mix. Or I see this with a lot of older owners. They are thinking about what parents wanted back in the day, not what current parents want, right? Your parents get younger than you every year. And if you think
It's
about
so
it,
rude. They need to stop.
but they do. And so like there's some schools I've worked with that like they're just now getting like a ProCare Bright Wheel Kangaroo Time option. And I'm like, whoa, okay, you're millennial Gen Zs have kind of been expecting that now for ever.
Yeah.
You can buy a car through your phone. Like you need to have some sort of, app. So sometimes I also help people kind of point out those sorts of things as well.
Okay. Well, great.
Okay. Well, I want to circle back to my question. What is the thing that you were like, okay, you need to change this thing that you think has had the biggest leverage from one of the tours you've gone on?
Okay, so you need to be able to make a genuine connection with people, and you have to share some of who you are. So what we're doing is we are dealing with parents at their most vulnerable point. They're getting a lot of messages from the media, from their friends, from everyone. They're making a bad decision no matter what they do. If they choose childcare, that's a bad decision because you're not being a stay-at-home mom, and we're so evil as an industry, right? Whereas if they choose to stay at home, oh, how could you not provide for your family, and you're not putting your career and right. So they're hearing messaging and they are sleep deprived and hormonal, and they have this little bitty baby and they have no idea what they're doing. And then we make it really difficult for them to make an easy decision. Shopping for childcare is terrible. Honestly, if I wasn't getting paid to do it, it would not be something I would do. Okay. Listening to tours is terrible. And I'll tell you why. Because we love to give orientation tours, not enrollment tours. And I'll tell you what I mean. We like to pretend we're married and we're going to figure out who's getting what closet space before we ever actually dated and got to know each other. And so, what I see a lot of directors and tour givers do is, let's say they go in the infant room and they talk about how to be a parent in that infant room. How do you bring the bottles in the morning? What kind of crib sheet do you need to bring? All these other things, but they never talk about, why should you enroll in our infant program? What do we do really well with our infants? And if they can stop and do that and listen to what the parents are really needing, that's how you make the biggest improvement. It's not that you need to improve your infant program. Your infant program is probably just fine. You need to articulate what you're doing. Your competition is not. And maybe it is that all you're doing is articulating, because they're not. And then you need to meet the parents' needs. What are they looking for? Are they looking for convenience because this is her third kid and she's really like tired in the morning? So you know what? That's when you make sure hey, we include all the formula, we include diapers and wipes. We are busy mom friendly, and we want to make sure you have everything. You just bring baby every day.
Awesome.
You just solved her problem. You didn't need to change anything, but they all focus on like, every infant has their own crib. Yes, they do. That's a law. Like, next. And then every child has their own cubby. I can't tell you the number of times I've heard cubbies on tours. I'm like, again, yes, in every state I've been in, that's a requirement. And that's what they're telling parents. That doesn't help them make a decision, because they also went down the street and heard the exact same tour. How are they supposed to make a good decision? They can't.
Oh, Chelsea, I love this. I think this is, hopefully everybody who's listening, rewind and take notes on that part, because what Chelsea just said to you is so important. You have to be able to connect. And I hear I'm like going, yep, yep, yep. Because I've walked in those programs where they want to tell me all about the furniture, or the menu. And
Yeah, we only use Childcraft furniture, which has a lifetime guarantee. Who cares?
Yeah.
As the parent, I don't care that you spent $400 on that table. I care about what my kid's going to do at that table.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so we've talked about why somebody might be like, okay, I need a secret shopper, because more than 50% of the people who come on a tour aren't enrolling. We've talked a little bit about some stuff that someone might see on a tour. So if the person listening is like, okay, yeah, I'm not sure what my numbers are, but I'm pretty sure I'm not hitting 50%. How much are they going to need to convince their owner to spend in order to get this done? Is this I can hire a high school student and give them $45, or is this a small car, or is it somewhere in between?
So here's the way I typically to hire me, no center has ever spent more than what one child's enrollment would be for the year to come hire me to shop their school and their competitors. And that's for multi-site owners, if that gives you. So typically in the ballpark of $3,000 to $6,000, that includes, actually shopping you, your competitors. The big secret to that is, though, you really want to get the training afterwards, right? Because some people just want the information, but a lot of people then need to know what the next step is to do with it. And then that's where I'll offer that training component, right?
So that's why you're better than the 17-year-old.
So that's what I was going to get at, is you can absolutely hire your mama's cousin's friend, but there's a couple things. I know what normal looks like in childcare. They don't. And so I also know what to kind of, okay, I know why you're doing that, right? I got it. I also understand what sales looks like, which the 17-year-old might not. But honestly, your customers are secret shopping for you for free because they're either enrolling or they're not. The problem you have is when they're not, and enrollment is a big struggle for a lot of programs right now. We've seen a huge chunk of the market leave, like children, and they're not coming back. They're finding that alternate care. And so enrollment now more than ever is super critical for programs to be able to stay alive. So, that's where if you're having a, professional problem, hire a professional, but you absolutely could hire the 17-year-old, but you're going to get the 17-year-old's expertise. So that's my, I probably wouldn't hire them to do my taxes, but.
Absolutely. Well, Chelsea, this is your opportunity. You get about, 30-second elevator speech. Tell us how people can get in touch with you. I'm sure there's other things, but we'll start with that.
Yeah, so Facebook's the easiest way. Chelsea Reue, it's my name, and I have a personal profile and I have a professional one. They both accept visitors because I now have the blue check. Oh, baby. So Chelsea, CHELSEA, Reue, REUE, and you reach out to me on Facebook and say, hey, I'm really struggling with enrollment. What I do is I talk to you first, because I'm not going to say, yes, I can help everyone. I really want to find out what's going on. And I try to give some help over the phone before I book a secret shop, because it is an investment. And then I really find out, what are you needing? What problems are you trying to solve? And if it's something I feel I can help with, we'll get it booked, but it's really a pretty simple process. I'm Chelsea Party of One, self-managed. Thank you. And so I make it pretty simple for people.
Great. Well, Chelsea, thank you so much. If you're listening, we will definitely have all of Chelsea's contact information in the show notes. So go look at the show notes and you'll be able to find all of her information in case you didn't get all of that written down. And Carrie?
If you enjoyed the show, share it with somebody else who needs to know what we had to say today, and come see us at a conference. You might see Chelsea hanging out with us. We love to see you. Talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to Childcare Conversations with Kate and Carrie. Want to learn more? Check out our website at texasdirector.org. And if you've learned anything today, leave us a comment below and share the show.